Is that a bird? Is it a plane?
No, it's just another podcast episode. Roll the intro.
Welcome to Passion of the Geeks, the show in which two friends and fellow geeks talk about geek and pop culture and everything else we enjoy. I am Pat.
And I'm Greg.
And let's get on with it. Hello, Greg. Nice to hear you again.
Hello, Pat. Likewise.
So I hope you had a wonderful week and you're all hyped up for today's episode, because I sure am.
Well, the week was quite stressful, but I'm hyped up, so.
That is great. So let's just quickly dive into it. But there's a little thing I want to follow up from one of our previous episodes, if you don't mind.
Follow up.
Yeah, oh, yes. And I don't know if you remember, but some episodes back, I was talking about the Zelda anniversary year and the fact that I was, well, let's say, mildly disappointed that all we get is Skyward Sword. And I wasn't really in the mood for Skyward Sword because I still remembered it from my Wii days and, motion controls and everything. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of those. And I actually didn't want to buy it, but it was my son's birthday and he got kind of a Zelda fan. He played through all the major Zelda games, and I thought, well, let's give him Skyward Sword as a present. And he was actually very well entertained. And so I thought I give it another try. And, well, first, let me tell you, I think we talked about that last time, that I think one of the reasons that they wanted to have Skyward Sword is to reintroduce the Skyloft Kingdom, or that whole Kingdom in the Sky thingy, because this will be part of Breath of the Wild 2. So,
do we know that?
Yeah, well, I thought from the trailers it might be part of it.
Well, we see Link flying or falling.
Yeah, in some structures in the sky. I just thought it might be the Skyloft that we see there.
Yeah. Yeah, but go on. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, anyway, so I played it with my son because, you know, part of the fun of playing a game is playing it together. And even though the motion controls are slightly more responsive than they were on the Wii, at least as far as I remember, it's the newer button controls that they included that I thought makes the game actually playable. And I mean, the motion controls aren't the only problem the original Skyward Sword had. There were some slight quest design issues and stuff, but all in all, I'm actually surprised how much fun I had with the game.
Okay. Well, it's quite funny what you're talking about here, because I had the completely opposite experience.
Okay.
I really, really liked Skyward Sword on the Wii because of the controls.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved the sword controls, that I had this option to, or not the option, that I had to either slice an enemy vertically or horizontally, and I really liked that. And
you did. Okay.
I hate the new button controls on the Switch version of Skyward Sword, and the kind of the other controls. I think the V mode, or what's it called? The
Joy-Con.
The Joy-Con.
Yeah,
is not really. It's not that good in your hand. It doesn't feel like a sword. because the Wiimote felt like a sword, or at least the handle of a sword,
Yeah.
and the Joy-Con doesn't. So I have to admit, I prefer Skyward Sword on the Wii.
No, I know exactly what you mean. The Joy-Cons for the hands of an adult, they're too small. They don't feel like a sword hilt at all.
Not at all, yeah.
And you're absolutely correct that the button controls with the different slashes that you can do, they kind of feel awkward. Even though you press the button or you press the analog stick, half of the time it kind of doesn't really register that you want to make a swing or something. And personally, I just hate the mechanic that you need to swing from one side and from the other side and from the top and from the bottom and stab. I really don't like that. I enjoy it much more if it's just a button and your character does the appropriate swings based on how he's standing relative to the enemy or how your movements currently are. It's much more elegant and everything.
Yeah, but for me, that was the point that made Skyward Sword cool. Because it wasn't just I'm Link and I press a button.
Yeah.
It's I'm Link and I have to swing my sword.
Oh, I hated that.
I loved that about the Wii. I really loved that about the Wii.
That's great. It's cool.
Yeah, and the same thing for aiming your bow and arrow. Mm-hmm. I loved that I had to aim with it.
Okay. Yeah, see, it didn't work badly in with the Wii. It was a little bit easier because you didn't need to adjust your angle with the Y button every now and then, because the Wii had that sensor bar that would actually adjust your thing. So that was more convenient. I just never liked that. And I can see if you are a fan of motion controls, then I think the motion controls on the Switch, I agree, they're not as cool. They're not don't have as much weight to them.
Maybe that's it. The Wiimote was quite heavy, and it really felt like a sword.
Especially with the add-on.
I remember, for Skyward Sword, you needed the add-on, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the first one, what was that? For the first Zelda for the Wii was Wind Walkers? Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
There you also had to kind of shake the Wiimote, but that was enough to do kind of
it was movement. Just shaking instead of pressing a button. Yeah, it didn't have any real movement to it. Yeah. So
that's why you needed the additional pack at the bottom. Yeah,
because Twilight Princess was actually a GameCube game, so it was just ported. Yeah, but interesting how. But story wise and such, did you have fun with it?
I think I've just played on. I think I'm in the middle of the kind of the first overworld level. I think I played about an hour or so because the controls were so annoying. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there were some other games I had to play or wanted to play, so I fell off a little bit. But probably if I have time, next few weeks or month, I will obviously try to revisit it.
Well, all in all, I have to say, it's not a bad Zelda game. I had a lot of fun with it as well once I got beyond the controls. And I'm actually thankful Nintendo re-released it. But now there should be Twilight Princess.
My favorite re-release, I think, is still Link's Awakening.
Okay, yeah, that's a well one. Yeah.
I really like that one because it really updated the graphics and made it nicer to look at, so to speak. I quite like that one.
Yeah, that's true. Well then, let's go to our Today I Found Out segment. Greg, did you?
Well, let's continue talking about video games. Sony had their showcase or another showcase this week where they kind of talked about some new games or released or showed some new trailers of upcoming games. And yeah, there have been many, many games that looked quite interesting. Some of them have been announced before. Some of them haven't. Some of them have release dates now. But yeah, so if you're interested in PlayStation games, obviously go watch the whole showcase. I just want to mention 2 game trailers that blew me away. One is a game that I already was excited about, God of War Ragnarok. They dropped a trailer with some story elements, some gameplay elements, and yeah, it just looks really, really cool. They're going all in with Greek mythology. Kratos is back. Boy is back. And a whole bunch of other North mythology creatures are back. And it just looks really cool. They have some, kind of just on first glance, they seem to introduce some new traversal mechanics.
Okay.
I think there is a sled that they introduce, and the Chaos Blades seem to work like a grappling hook now.
Okay.
Which, color me intrigued. And it was just nice to see some of these characters again. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to Ragnarok, and the trailer made me even more excited.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that as well.
And the second game that hit me completely out of the blue, I think I've never heard of that one before. It was a game called Forspoken, which I have absolutely no idea what exactly it is. From the trailer, it looks like open world action magic game, and the world looked gorgeous. The traversal looked really, really cool, and the magic effects were just awesome. So, kind of just from what they showed, it looked like really fun magic combat gameplay. And if you do that right, I think that could be something really, really cool.
Now that one looks and sounds interesting. Yeah. I have only heard from, I think it was called differently before, but...
I think I researched it. They call it Project Athia.
Yeah. And I'm very intrigued how this will turn out.
No, it's by Eidos and Illuminous Entertainment, I think, is the company that actually does it. But yeah, it looks gorgeous, and I'm very, very intrigued. So it kind of shot to my list of most excited games.
Oh, cool. Cool.
What about you? Do you have anything interesting for us this today?
Yeah, well, actually, I just wanted something small for today, and I have a little bit of space news.
Space news. We need a bumper for this.
We need a bumper for this. News from space. And a couple of weeks ago, in the end of August, there was a paper published, or at least accepted, in the Astrophysical Journal. I'm not very clear on that. And that paper talks about Hycean Worlds. Hycean is a word that is based off hydrogen and ocean. And the idea is these Hycean worlds are a lot bigger than possible Earth-like worlds. And so they're easier to detect. And also their unique atmosphere can be filtered more accurately from other lifeless planets. So the idea is that these Hycean worlds might be easier to find and then find life on them. Now, the thing is, this is kind of based on an idea that on Earth, down in the oceans, there are some hot water vents that have very high pressure and very hot, and there's still organisms in there. And so it might be a lot easier to find that kind of extraterrestrial life. Now, these are, of course, not aliens that have that we could talk to. But I mean, as a science fiction lover, I still try to imagine that over the millennia or millions of years that maybe these organisms would have evolved in a more intelligent form. But yeah, probably not. But still, finding extraterrestrial life, I think with Hycean Worlds, there is a great chance that we find something like that, or a greater chance in cosmic terms, at least.
Sounds very interesting. I mean, me, for my part, I'm still looking for intelligent life on this planet here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the James Webb Telescope could find that as well.
I think they're going to need a bigger one for that.
Yeah, but the thing is, the James Webb Telescope that will be released this winter, I think, if I remember correctly, that should be able to detect those Hycean worlds, and we will see what will happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll be in contact with ET pretty soon.
Perhaps. Well then, let's continue to our Check This Out segment. Greg, do you want us to check out something?
Well, what I'm doing now, I'm combining everything we talked about so far. So you talked about exploration of the unknown, of unknown worlds. I talked about some video games. So I played a video game that explores unknown, really, really strange worlds. I played Psychonauts 2. So I've been a huge fan of the first Psychonauts. I'm kind of a huge fan of pretty much all the Double Fine games. It's maybe not the studio that produces the biggest games, but they produce games that have a certain edge, that have a certain character and a certain sense of humor that, works perfectly for me. So I think Tim Schafer is a genius. And Psychonauts 2 proves this once more. I've kind of very, very rarely I played a game this imaginative, this weird, but still it comes together as kind of as a cohesive whole. So Psychonauts 2 basically picks up where Psychonauts 1 left off. Raz is now an agent. Oh no, just an intern of the Psychonauts. And for some really strange reason, it's the intern who has to do everything and save the day and so on. But that's usually how it goes. But the I would say that the obviously has to do with technology and everything, but the platforming in Psychonauts 2 is a lot more. It's better than in the original. Kind of the controls are more responsive. It's just everything just works better. So I would argue it's an improvement on a whole level over the first game. The worlds they're creating, or kind of these mindscapes, if you will, to call them so, they're really, really imaginative. There's some weird gameplay loops going on. There's one level where you have to cook.
Okay.
The ingredients, they're really, really excited that you cook and slice them and stuff like that. So it's kind of very, very weird, but I just love the whole experience of the game. So if you're interested in a cool platformer with very imaginative level design, a cool story, Psychonauts 2 is definitely something worth checking out. And as a bonus, if you have Game Pass, you already own it.
Oh, Game Pass.
I mean, I love my PlayStation, but Game Pass is just so cool.
Yeah, sounds like it. I'm really looking forward to Psychonauts 2. I didn't have time to play it yet, but I'm a huge fan of the first Psychonauts, and I thought the VR game was decent as well. Yeah. I think not everyone liked that one, but I thought it was cool for what it was. But the first one is awesome. And I think the characters and everything, this should be an animated TV series.
I think it would work, actually.
Yeah, I think it would work, yeah.
Yeah. I think you could do kind of 20-minute episodes. Each episode's they're in a new brain or something. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what about you? What do you have for us to check out this week?
I watched something. I'm not the one who watches a lot of things, but every now and then I try to watch certain movies and TV series. And this, again, is one of them. I watched The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. It's basically a prequel. It shows us Vesemir when he was younger. It showed how Vesemir became a Witcher. It shows a little bit what happens during becoming a Witcher. And it focuses a little bit on the things that you have to sacrifice when you become a Witcher. And I think it actually works really, really well. It's not live action. It's actually animated. And I'm not entirely sure. I think it's the same studio that made the Castlevania series, but I'm not sure on that. The style is very similar. It's also quite as gory as the Castlevania series is. It's very well made, has some really great dialogue, some great writing. I like the story. It has been really fun, even though if part of the story aren't as much fun. Since it's animated, the action is a little bit exaggerated. So Vesemir kind of appears to be a lot more powerful than Geralt in the TV series. But I think it's basically just the style of the animation that makes it look like this. But it's interesting. So I really recommend watching it. It's cool.
I haven't had the chance to watch it, but it's on my to-do list. Yeah, as I said, I had a very, very busy week, but yeah, maybe even today. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Vesemir is a cool character.
I'm also looking forward to the next season of The Witcher on Netflix. So.
Oh, that as well. That should be in a couple of months, shouldn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to watch Henry Cavill kick some ass.
Yeah, he did a great job. He did really great job. Yeah. Do you know what else Henry Cavill actually didn't do that badly?
Well, I think you're trying to segue into our main topic right now, aren't you?
Oh, how sneaky. Oh, yeah.
Well, so Henry Cavill played a pretty cool villain in Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, I like that. Actually, I think Henry Cavill is cool in pretty much everything he does. He has this really great energy when he's playing, when he's acting.
I think he's a very, very, very talented actor with a great physical presence. Mm. He looks especially good in a mustache, honestly. Unless he dons a cape.
Yeah, true. Full disclaimer here. Personally, I think the Henry Cavill wasn't the problem of the last few Superman movies. I think he did a great job with what he was given.
And I think at this point we should reveal that we're going to talk about Superman.
Yes, that's right. Today we talk about Superman. I think it's safe to say that we had our problems with how Superman was depicted in the last couple of movies. And if you want to know more about that, there is a wonderful commentary that we made for the Snyder Cut, where we go into great detail about how we felt about Superman. That's episode 33. It's made as a commentary. So if you want to listen to that, watch the movie with it.
Watch the movie with us in your ears. What could go wrong?
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, you kind of had the idea for this Let's Pitch episode. And because there was some news that there would be a Superman reboot, we could do that as well. Maybe we could make a better Superman movie. But at that point, we had really a lot with superheroes, and we thought we wait a little with Superman. So our first Let's Pitch episode was with Star Trek back in episode 35. So if you want to start with that, go listen to that to hear our pitches for Star Trek series. But today it's about Superman, the Man of Steel. Do you want to dive into your pitch, Greg?
Yes, why don't I go first? So, as you already mentioned, last couple of years, my and your relationship with Superman has been a little bit strained. I have to admit, even though I completely agree with you that Henry Cavill is actually a pretty good choice to play Superman, what he was asked to portray, left me wanting. So if I'm completely honest, I wasn't too happy with the version of Superman that the DCEU, or whatever we're going to call it, or whatever it's called right now, the version of Superman that they showed. Kind of a little bit of backstory. I was there in San Diego in Hall H when they released the first trailer for Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And I was really excited.
Oh, yeah, we were.
And I mean, it was you, I, and Orlando was there as well. And we cheered. The trailer really worked for us. It had this sense of adventure, this sense of Americana. It felt inspiring and everything. And then the movie did not deliver on any of that. So I don't want to dive into my dislike for Man of Steel and kind of the other portrayals of Superman, or let's call them betrayals of Superman in those movies, because I think my opinion on my opinion on that is well known. So what I would like to do is kind of take a step back and kind of reiterate once more what I think is important about Superman, why I think some of the things they tried to do were a little bit misguided, and maybe outline a version of a Superman story, of a Superman movie that I think delivers on what I think is important. That being said, I need to start with a little disclaimer. When I looked through my notes for this Superman pitch for today, I found out that I must have started this pitch, or kind of the majority of this pitch, I think happened pretty much after I've seen Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah.
Because, there are a few things in there that remind me of why I wrote them down. And, I think some little details in there kind of feel a little bit dated, or I would say 10 years old or something. But nevertheless, I didn't change that much. But let's just go from here. There was way too much. Way too much disclaimer. So, as I kind of said with Star Trek and kind of all story that work, you need a good hook. You need to tell an interesting story that has something interesting to say. So you kind of need a message. You need a message that is, on the one side, kind of relevant for the times, because your movie is always going to be a product of its times, no matter if it's a period piece or whatever. If it's a superhero movie or a Western or whatever, you always have to say something about the time you're living in. And thing is, they actually try to do that with the modern Superman. They try to make him relevant for our times. But they forgot the other most important thing about Superman. Superman does not need to be just relevant. Superman needs to be inspiring. So I'm a Marvel fanboy, I know. So when I start developing a Superman pitch, I look at what Marvel did with Steve Rogers. And I looked a little bit at his arc. So what made Steve such a good Captain America is this idea that he wanted to be better. He wanted to be helpful. He wanted to be good, and he gave up a lot to be a good soldier, to be a good man. And his story was about sacrifice. And interestingly enough, the conclusion over his whole arc of the MCU, kind of from first Avengers to Avengers Endgame, his conclusion is that he earned the right to be a little bit selfish. So I quite like that. So maybe that's something that I want you to keep in mind for Superman as well. So Steve, he fought enough, and at some point he deserved his retirement. So I liked it at the end. So how can we adapt that for Superman? How can we make Superman relevant, but make him inspiring as well? And here's the thing. Superman, he doesn't need to get better, because technically he's already is a god. And sure, he sacrifices things, but at the end of the day, he can have everything he wants. The only thing he can't have is, or the only thing that he isn't, he's not human. He's an outsider. He doesn't belong. And yet, our world is basically the only world he's ever known. And this is kind of what for me is at the core of the character, the way he was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. They were the sons or the kids of immigrants, and they're the most American hero ever is an immigrant. And I quite liked that about him. So what my Superman story is going to be about, he's going to have to accept himself. He's going to have to be accepted by the world. And he has to find his humanity in order to become one of us. And kind of, the thing is, he's probably at the end of the day, he's probably the better human than anyone else, because he went through all of this. So, how do we do that? And this is the point where my pitch feels pretty much dated, because I decided to make Superman relevant and inspiring by making him black.
Okay.
And those of our listeners who follow the news, they know that this is exactly what's being done right now. So there is an HBO Max project going on right now, or in development right now, where Michael B. Jordan is supposed to be playing a black version of Superman. Val Zod, I think is his name.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so he's supposed to play that version, and I think I've read in an interview that Michael B. Jordan doesn't want to play a black Superman as Kal-El, but he's okay with playing another character that's black in the comics as well. But
but that's a great idea.
And the thing is, the reason why I went this way is it's obviously the whole idea of the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, back in the day, in the 1930s, when they wrote Superman as an immigrant, that was something that was on everyone's mind. Yeah, what is the immigrant experience in America? And today, I think the whole question, what is the black experience in America? To me, makes sense to use that as Superman or as Superman standing. So here's the thing. I actually don't change that much else because Superman, his little spaceship or Kal-El's spaceship falls down in Kansas. And Ma and Pa Kent, they're in Kansas as well. But obviously, they're black.
Yeah.
So he's part of he's a black Superman in a black family, and obviously Kansas, you can play the racism a little bit. So whereas in the old Richard Donner movies, Clark was just an outcast because the other students just made fun of him because he wasn't allowed or didn't want to play football because he didn't want to reveal himself. Here we can actually play a little bit with kind of racism in rural Kansas, so to speak. So he again, my pitch is stated in my version. He grows up in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
So it's a couple of years old. He watches world history on TV. Kind of little glimpses of maybe seeing the fall of the Berlin Wall and kind of his dad teaching him how the world works, how hard work leads to results and things like that. But then kind of we move on, and here's the thing where the timeline probably doesn't work out completely. The day where Clark's or Kal-El's life completely changes is 9/11.
Okay.
And kind of for two reasons, and it's complete accident that we are recording this episode on 9/11.
Oh,
it's one of those things, complete accident. But okay, let's move on. So Clark and his dad, and in my version, Clark's dad, Jonathan Kent, is played by Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
And Ma Kent is Angela Bassett.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the cast I came up with. So they're on their way to to town to pick up some fertilizer for their field or whatever. And then on the radio, Clark hears about what's going on in New York. And this is the moment, kind of with everything leading up to it. There were scenes of him experimenting with his powers. So this is the moment where he decides, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. He flies to New York. He's able to catch the second plane. He's able to make sure that the towers don't crumble. He's able to save a lot of people. Because here's the thing. The most important, another really, really important thing in a big Superman movie is you need a set piece that shows you how powerful he is. Mm-hmm. And the kind of the moment of these the Twin Tower attacks and seeing someone or seeing a hero actually saving the people there, I think that would be a very, very powerful image. Another disclaimer here, I'm not sure if this is a good idea or if this could be considered in bad taste. It reminds me a little bit of the problem that Superman 4, Quest for Peace had, where Superman just destroyed all the nuclear weapons. Maybe you shouldn't mix reality with fiction in a way like this. But I just thought Superman saving the Twin Towers is a very, very powerful image to introduce this character to the world.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And here's the thing, as I said, maybe it's completely misguided, but I think chances are that this version never gets made, so we're good there. Meanwhile, because of the whole chaos that is going on, Jonathan Kent gets stopped by the police. And because he has a lot of fertilizer with him, they think, fertilizer, can't you use that to build explosives? So they're trying to arrest him. And I mean, it's not that he resists arrest, but they taser him anyway. and he dies of a heart attack.
Okay.
So, and this is kind of my origin for Superman. So, on the same day that he saves the country, his dad almost gets killed by the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the moment where he has to make a choice, has to make a decision who he is. And yeah, he comes back and all he sees is that kind of, yeah, maybe kind of his last few words because of the heart attack. But he could, I mean, if he wanted to, he could kill those police officers. But obviously that's not what Clark does. So he obviously swallows whatever sorrow he has and makes a choice. So instead of using violence to avenge his dad, he decides to become a reporter and change the world through writing about the things that are bad. Mm-hmm. So that's how 9/11, the one part makes him the hero, and the other part makes him the reporter. And then, yeah, obviously the whole thing continues. So he goes to the Daily Planet. He meets Lois Lane. I have a few ideas for that, for her as well. Maybe Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Maybe Gugum Bhattacharya. Kind of, I want a woman who's definitely not a damsel in distress. Mm-hmm. So in my version of Superman, Clark never ever has to save Lois. They're complete equals. So he never has to save her, but she's feisty and she's cool and she's capable. Yeah, because I mean, who else would the most powerful man in the world fall in love with, if not almost his equal, or basically his equal. So through his reporting, he learns about many things that are going not going that well. While Superman is an inspiration for the people and not a vigilante, Clark tackles the issues that are a little bit more abstract. So Superman saves the day, but Clark and Lois together, they tackle the important social issues. And one very important social issue, there is this company called LexCorp. Kind of like a mix between Tesla, Amazon, Lockheed Martin, Monsanto. So
everything.
Everything is just, evil incorporated, basically.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'm not entirely sure who I want as Lex Luthor. Either Mads Mikkelsen as a male Lex, but then again, maybe I would also like him as Doctor Doom. So maybe not use him for Lex as well. But here's the thing, I could actually live with a female Lex as well.
Okay.
And I would like maybe someone like Frances McDormand as as a Lex Luthor or whatever. That'd be fun as well, but doesn't really matter. So evil company, it's a company who reaches pretty much everywhere. There are government conspiracy goings on, misdoings, and this LexCorp is basically responsible for most of global warming and every natural disaster as well. Lots of other set piece opportunities.
Okay.
And kind of the big finale in the third act is LexCorp is trying to mine asteroids because of reasons. What kind of mineral might there be on an asteroid that they need to mine, or that Lex needs to mine for any mischievous plans that he has? So while mining the asteroid, the mission fails, and the asteroid starts to get closer and closer to Earth and is about to hit Earth, and that's the kind of the other final set piece, that Superman has to save the Earth from this asteroid.
Okay.
And obviously it's Luthor's fault, and he gets imprisoned, and everyone is happy, and Clark and Lois kiss, and so on and so on.
Wow.
And roll credits.
Yeah.
Guess whose ship or guess who frozen in something was inside the asteroid?
General Zod.
General Zod. and he's going to be played by Viggo Mortensen.
Okay.
And kind of that's going to be part 2 where we can continue the whole racism, white supremacy thing because Viggo Mortensen, Zod is not just a racist. He's a white supremacist.
Okay.
So that's where we hit the whole thing home. Yeah, that's my way too long, way too complicated Superman pitch that will never ever happen.
But honestly, I would definitely watch that. It sounds intriguing. It has some really great thought processes behind it. I mean, I didn't know that they really do this with the Black Superman, because to just change an icon, however it was, is difficult. But in the way you explained that, I think that could really work.
I just mean casting, if done well, means something.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say, we need a black Superman kind of as a token to the black community or whatever. I think a black Superman is a good idea because you could tell an interesting story that way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's not just a skin tone change. It goes deeper than that and makes sense for that character of Superman that you are explaining. Yeah.
And one thing I forgot, obviously, Superman's dad, Jor-El. Idris Elba.
Oh, of course. I mean, every movie is better if it includes Idris Elba.
and here's the thing. I in part 2, I would really like some scenes where Viggo Mortensen faces off against Idris Elba on Krypton. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. Yeah.
Well, I like your pitch. I probably would finance it if I could.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not sure about the whole 9/11 thing anymore. And obviously kind of the whole thing of a third act and kind of the whole Lois Clark relationship is, very, very rudimentary in my version. But
I mean, it totally makes sense if Lex Luthor wants to mine the asteroids because for some reason, and that is where he thinks would kryptonite be, and that's a way to get rid of Superman. So it just fits together, I think.
That and kind of the idea is that the asteroids create set pieces for Superman to show off his powers. Because I kind of felt that the one thing that was definitely missing in a few of the last Superman movies is there was no real showcase for Superman's powers. And even though the Superman Returns movie overall is kind of a failure as well, the first action set piece where Superman saves the plane, that one was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's true. Well, I kind of enjoyed Return of Superman. I know it's not really a good movie, but
it's better than what came after, but it's too much rooted in nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem a bit with it. It's not really a reboot, not really a continuation, and overall it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, you're talking about 9/11 and the Twin Towers. It is a really, really great symbol. And I think it would fit in a Superman movie. So I kind of agree here. I don't think it's too much. I mean, I'm not an American. Perhaps Americans think differently here.
Maybe they look at it differently.
Yeah. But I think it's a brilliant set piece, actually. Wow, cool. I like your pitch.
Okay. Now I'm interested in yours.
Yeah, now I really don't want to. I don't really want to show mine because we had a lot of similar thoughts, but I think mine is all in all a simpler Superman movie. It's not as deep as yours. It's meant as how should I put it? As a kind of an origin movie where you could reintroduce Superman to a world that basically knows Superman and kind of leaving the good stuff for a eventual later movie that will certainly be made after mine. But yeah, the thing is, I had the whole hook that I began with is actually Kill Bill. In Kill Bill, there is this scene where Bill kind of talks about Superman that, I don't know the exact words anymore. He's like, explaining that Superman does not don a costume to be a superhero, but he dons a costume to be normal. He hides as people and makes them look weak and everything because he sees humans as weaklings, kind of fragile beings. And I don't agree. I don't agree with Bill. I'm sorry. I don't think that Superman or Clark Kent sees people as a fragile, weak race. In my opinion, and maybe I'm alone with this, but I always felt that, Superman or Clark Kent was a human or was part of the human race long before he was a superhero. Sure, he had some powers and everything that he hid, yes, but he was raised as a human. He was raised as a decent human. And that is a bit the hook I want to go into. My movie opens with a prologue sequence. And in that prologue sequence, we see Superman in his Superman costume. It's a non-defined, elaborate action sequence where we see his power set, about what he can do, where we are reintroduced to who Superman is. He can fly, he can shoot lasers, he can breathe ice, and whatever is needed for the scene. I imagine something like some good guys and bad guys that he is trying to help. And I really wanted a little joke that we did in our cold open with, is it a plane? Is it a bird? No, it's Superman. I really wanted that in that sequence, but in a negative way. Like, say, there are some terrorists there and they're flying a helicopter or something, and one looks at the side and sees something, and he says like, oh, is that a plane? No, it's not on the radar. It must be a bird. Oh God, it's Superman. And you kind of feel the fear people have of him. There is, there are those who cheer when he's finished, but the others, they fear him. They're afraid of him because they know that no one can stop him. So this is what I want in my opening sequence, in my prologue sequence, right before we see the title Superman. And then I go in the proper movie and there is Clark Kent, and we get introduced to Clark Kent. We see him juggle his life as a reporter with his life as Superman. And he's already a reporter. And as I said, Superman is already established. People know who Superman is. And I think what I want to do here is I want to introduce Lois Lane a bit like you. I want to introduce her as a tough woman. Basically, a bit like what the Richard Donner movie did, because I think he did a great job with introducing Lois Lane. I want her to be a tough reporter, hard as nails, but I want her to, well, maybe not being madly in love with Clark Kent, but I want her to actually like Clark Kent in the way he is. And they hit it off together, and they're on a sort of a date, and Clark hears people in terror somewhere because he has super hearing, and he excuses himself from the date, and one thing leads to another, and when he goes back, Lois Lane has left, and he tries to make it up, and again the similar thing happens. Juggling his life as Superman with Clark Kent is really hard. And then at one time they're together, he again hears things happening, but he stays with Lois Lane. And he hears that things go haywire because he's not there, but he stays with Lois Lane. And he also hears something very special, an asteroid or a meteorite or something falling down on Earth. And after this date, he goes and checks what that meteorite was, but it's too late. The government is already there, and they don't allow him to see what it was. They transport it away. He cannot do his X-ray vision because the cars are lined with lead or something. But there is a rumor that actually the life from outer space landed on Earth. And he manages to work as the reporter a little bit, get to the gist, but he doesn't get more information. And because he knows that he's an alien, he doesn't know that he is Kal-El or that he's from Krypton. The opening already has him established and everything. There is no origin story here. He just visits his parents, and there is this talk again that, yeah, he was found in sort of spaceship, and he wants to get behind this. And he knows he's an alien, and he wants to know what this other alien organism is. And he uses Jimmy Olsen to get access to the Star Labs, where, of course, this alien or the possible alien is, with the help of a janitor. They get access to it. But it turns out the alien that they found, it's just basically a bucket of purple goo. But possibly alien organisms. They kind of leave a little bit disappointed. But then this janitor, he kind of offers Clark to get him closer to that. And they break into the containment chamber. And what happens is that Clark very briefly touches this purple goo. But at that point, it looks like nothing. And he goes again disappointed. But the purple goo becomes alive and kind of swallows the janitor, and it becomes Parasite. Now, Parasite is probably a minor villain, but I think it's a good one to start with, because Parasite starts soaking up life energy from other people. And of course, Superman comes to the rescue, and every time he fights Parasite, he gets weaker and weaker, and Parasite gets stronger and stronger. And basically, Parasite becomes Superman with his power set, while Clark Kent becomes, let's say, a normal human. And then this is where it got a bit shorter. A whole lot of shenanigans happen. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen try to follow this Parasite. They have sort of environmental hazard suits with them so that he cannot suck the life energy from them. But one thing that Parasite also does is he actually sucks memories from the host that he's sucking from. And so he knows that Clark Kent has the hots for Lois Lane. And here is where I go a different route than you. This is where she's, after all, becomes a damsel in distress, not by man or anything, but actually by a Superman type figure. And in the third act, there is this whole setup where Clark, as an ordinary human, has to get past Parasite, kind of trap him in another environmental hazard suit so that he cannot no longer suck the strength from other people. And while the night goes on, Parasite gets weaker and weaker because he's always hungry. That's part of what he is. And this final scene or this final set piece is something very small. I imagine Lois Lane hanging from a sort of a construction crane or something, and Clark desperately trying to rescue her while Jimmy and others are trying to lure Parasite away, and Clark in his human form tries to get to Lois Lane. He has to have all the courage that he can muster to do that, because now he is mortal, he is vulnerable. And he almost gets to her, but maybe she's hanging by her jacket and it drips and she falls down. But at the same time, the sun dawns and Lois Lane only falls a couple of feet when Clark Kent grabs her. He's flying, and we have that iconic dialogue of, I got you, and you got me? Who got you? And this is where, their love is I would say cemented, but I really want Lois Lane to have fallen in love with Clark Kent, with what he was doing trying to rescue her. But in the end, it's still Superman who gets her. And then we have a nice little epilogue where they sit again at a date in a restaurant, and Superman hears some sirens wailing nearby, and Lois Lane nods at him and smiles, and he excuses himself, goes out, rips his shirt open. We have the Superman logo, and the end credits roll. I wanted a more human Superman, a little smaller story. And I know it's not as dramatic as a lot of other things, but I hope with focusing on Clark Kent and the way how he ticks, not just as a super being, but as a man, basically, to humanize him in a good way. That's basically my idea here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I really like that it's not the traditional origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Because, obviously, if you continue the story of Superman, and most people know his origins, so if you don't change his origins like I did, there's absolutely no reason to rehash that whole thing again, obviously. Well, I really enjoyed the part about your story that was smaller and personal, and I'm not sure if they would do your version as a tentpole movie in theaters, but I can really see your version as something made for television, and I mean that in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Kind of like I don't want to say made for TV movie because that kind of sounds like derogatory, but maybe as a mini series or something, kind of as a 5-6 episode mini series, and you really take your time to develop these relationships. You give the Parasite time as well. Yeah,
that's currently the weak point in my pitch, because you need that, even though it's basically the Parasite himself is a very one-dimensional villain, because he's basically hungry. But through that he also gets the memories of those he touches. You could build a lot out of the janitor. Yeah, I agree that would be something that would have been refined a little bit.
If you do it as a miniseries, there has to be one episode from the point of view of the parasite.
Oh yeah, that would be a great idea. Yes.
And that's how you how you give the parasite a lot more character. Because I think superhero movies or superhero stories, not all of them need to revolve around saving the world. Some of them can and should be a little bit smaller as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just totally. And I think, and one interesting part of Superman is, and I think we both agree here, because it was a little bit in your version as well, is that if he would be a bad guy, the world would basically be doomed.
Most definitely, yeah.
Most definitely. And I think that is where Parasite could be very, very cool, because he would have the feature set of Superman. So not entirely because he needs to feed every now and then, but this is to show how the world would look if Superman would be a bad guy. And I could imagine that for a part of the movie or the miniseries, that he still keeps Clark Kent chained somewhere in the cellar of Star Labs or something while he's weakened. So that I think would be quite cool. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see parts of it quite clearly, actually.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we're really good at this, let's be honest.
Yeah, we should do this more often. Have some really great ideas that we could pitch.
Yeah.
So if you are the licensing holder of the Superman property and you're listening right now, please send us a message. We are quite willing to negotiate.
You can find us on Twitter.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun to think about pitches for such a franchise. I know we both would have to have a couple of rewrites until the script would be standing. That's just normal at that point.
Obviously.
It's fun to think about this.
Yes, it is. I like it a lot.
Who would you see as a standard traditional white Superman? Let's say for my pitch. Because I think I would make it really traditional, as I said before. I don't think the Superman actor needs to be a bodybuilder in the sense of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think Henry Cavill was great and everything, and having that sort of physical presence as Superman. But I don't think it needs to be a weightlifter or something. It's just a fit guy.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to look fit, but the way his muscles look have absolutely nothing to do with his strength.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean.
So. I mean, I don't know what I don't know that many actors just from on the tip of my fingers that I think would work like this. And I would go for a good actor first and figure out the whole action set pieces later.
Yeah.
Do you have someone in mind?
Actually, I don't. I think I would love someone, with a really chiseled chin. A little bit like, what was the actor who played in White Collar? Matt something?
You mean Matt Boomer?
Oh yeah, Matt Boomer, exactly. I think he's a smallish guy, isn't he?
I don't know whether or not that should be an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Cruise is really small as well, and
yeah, that's true.
He can always use boxes.
Plateau shoes.
Yeah.
But I think he has this nice chiseled chin. It's really something that and he has this great voice. I would love him.
Yeah, I think the voice needs to work as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think he's probably too old now, because White Collar has been a while.
I have no idea. idea.
Me neither. But Matt, if you're listening, call us. Well, I think we leave it at that. I would be really wondering what our listener, the audience, thinks about our pitches. Would you watch one of our movies? Is it something you would like to watch? I'm very interested in your opinion, actually.
Me too.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up for today.
Yes, let's wrap it up.
So this is it for this week. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. We're on all major podcasting services. We're on YouTube and, of course, on www.passionofthegeeks.com. And if you want to send us something, questions, suggestions, or just how you liked our pitches, do this. Our mail address is passionofthegeeks@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at PassionOTGeeks. Yeah, we would love to hear from you.
Yes, really, yeah. We would love to hear from our audience. We know you're out there.
Yeah. And just tell us what you think and generally what you like about our podcast. So thank you for listening. And take care, Greg.
Yeah, take care, Pat.
There can be only one.